I've talked about helping you, my rebels, become the person you want to be. So far that's just been talk because I feel a little uncomfortable about giving advice on self-actualization when I haven't completed the process myself first. But it's important, and I want more of you to join me in this process. So I figured the best place for us to start is at the beginning. Nope, before that, the beginning of the beginning. When you first start a role-playing game, you are handed a character sheet. And based on that, we're about to start our journey together. Find yourself some paper. We're about to get geeky in here and nerd all over it. The first thing on the sheet tends to be the name of the character. Since you already have a name, we're going to skip that step. By the way, I don't think you should distance yourself from this process by giving yourself a new name. Unless it's a nickname or you plan on actually legally changing your name, it's best to keep this, at least this, as personal as possible. I mean, it's you we're working on here, not someone else, and it's important to remember that. Now, the next items on the list are usually race and class. Now, in the game worlds, this doesn't mean middle-class African-American or working-class Caucasian. It means something more like Elvish Ranger or Dwarven Barbarian. Chances are you're human, so let's just go with that for right now. Quick apology to all my dog, cat, and hamster viewers out there, but you don't have opposable thumbs, so you really couldn't be following along anyway. And if you're from an alien race that has yet to reveal itself or make contact with us in 2016, just put down whatever you call yourselves. The rest of this should apply to you too. As humans in the real world, our job specializations don't apply to who we are at the core. And there's usually a very clear path to advancement in most careers. So we're not going to get into that. There's too many jobs to cover anyway. This is going to be about every area except your job. Sure, what we do might eventually bleed over and help you there, but it isn't our main objective. Just go ahead and fill in all the basic stats. These are things that don't change or change very little over the course of your adult life. Most of which will be found on your driver's license or ID. Height, weight, eye color, hair color, skin color, gender, those types of things. Until we get to the very first real choice we have in creating ourselves. Alignment. Now this doesn't mean aligning with one group instead of the other, like the Alliance versus Horde debate in World of Warcraft. This is your basic character trait, the one that guides how you react to the world around you. It is built from 2 axes of 3 characteristics each, giving a spectrum of 9 distinct personality types. The first choice is lawful, neutral, or chaotic. This axis of choice is traditionally defined as the distinction between the belief that everything should follow an order, and that obeying rules is the natural way of life, as opposed to the belief that everything is random and that chance and luck rule the world. Being lawful implies obedience to authority, trustworthiness, and reliability. On the downside, it leads to being judgmental, closed-minded, and having a general lack of adaptability. Being chaotic implies adaptability, freedom, and flexibility. On the downside, it can lead to recklessness, arbitrary actions, and resentment of legitimate authority. Being neutral implies that someone is between these 2 extremes of lawfulness and chaotic. A person who has a normal amount of respect for authority, someone who feels neither a compulsion to follow the rules or to rebel. They're generally honest, but they can be tempted into deceiving if it suits them at the time. Me personally, I tend to be chaotic. I like to be flexible in the way I approach the world and the problems that I come across. Whatever works well for me. I tend to try to think outside the box, and I don't mind breaking the rules if I think that they're arbitrary. That makes me a chaotic character. But that's me, and this is your decision. If you're having trouble making up your mind, let's look at the next axis, and that might help make your decision a little bit easier. The second choice is good, neutral, or evil. The conflict between good and evil is a common motif in role-playing games and in fantasy fiction. Although players can and do adventure for personal gain rather than altruistic motives, it's generally assumed that the characters will be opposed to evil and be fighting evil creatures. But that isn't always the case. And this isn't a fantasy world we're talking about. It's ours. You know the one, where good doesn't necessarily triumph over evil. You know where you want to end up, but when you really think about it, it's a tough decision to make. Being good implies being altruistic, and having respect for all life, and the dignity of all sentient beings. Good characters make personal sacrifices in order to help others. Being evil implies hurting, oppressing, and killing others. Some evil characters just simply have no compassion, and don't mind killing or whatever if it's convenient. Others actively pursue the evil. They want to kill for the sport of it, or it's out of a sense of duty to a malevolent deity or the like. People who are neutral in regards to good and evil tend to have compunctions about killing the innocent, but lack the commitment to make sacrifices in order to protect or help others. Neutral people tend to be committed on a case-by-case basis based on their personal relationships. Me? Well, I'm good, with the neutral slant. You can't very well be the hero without being on the side of good. So if in question, I go for what I see as the greater good, even if that gets me into trouble. And it has. More than a few times. But like I said before, this isn't all about me. Who are you? Or better yet, who do you want to be? It can be a tough go of it fighting your nature in this regard. But with practice, you can do it. Pick a point on the spectrum and use it as your guide for how you go about life. When in question of what to do, let the core of your character decide. Who you already are, or who you want to be. Help you make that decision. It's usually the case when you do that, the answer comes easily. You usually know the answer already, you just need a little nudge in the direction that you really want to go. This is just the first of many choices to make. We'll go over choices like this in future episodes, as well as how to develop traits and characteristics that you might find useful. If you found this video enjoyable or amusing, please share it and help it find a bigger audience. Don't forget to subscribe, click like, or otherwise follow me on the social medias so you don't miss out on what comes next. Let me know in the comments below what alignment you've decided on. I'll be back Tuesday with a new video. Stick with me, Rebels. We can do this. You're washing a sink full of dirty dishes, set body fat.